Shinra isn't as strong as you think. Yes, while Shinra is strong, very strong in fact, he isn't as strong as what most people say he is. Many try to point out or try to give him the title of being Outerversal. However, I don't think he's that, not even close. And if you don't know what Outerversal means, it's essentially a level of power that really allows you to solo most of verses. So within this video, I'll be debunking said notion for Shinra more attributely to his Shinra Man state. But first things first, we need to define Outerversal. So what does it mean to be Outerversal? Something I need to preface is that the definitions you will see are most likely not going to be the ones you'll see on any wiki such as Versus Battle Wiki and CashApp, as these are custom definitions that I and others have discussed and we believe are more accurate. So if you disagree, I don't know, too bad. To start off, low outer is defined as a being/structure that's fundamentally beyond or transcendent of all forms and measures of spatial dimensionality. To put in perspective, imagine the fourth dimension, then the fifth, sixth, all the way up to infinitum, and low outer would be fundamentally beyond or transcendent of that. And yes, we're talking in reference to mathematical higher spatial dimensions or vector spaces, not like infinite amount of universes or dimensions like from Invincible or something. So the next tier is outer, and it's defined as a being/structure that is fundamentally beyond or transcendent that of low outer in the same way of how it views zero dimensional up to infinite dimensional. Now I hear the comment section, but the concept of dimensionality or space. While most definitions just say that being beyond or transcendent of the concept of it would quantify for outer. This has many plot holes, as you'd be asserting that the concept of something is equal to the concept of the exact same thing throughout across the board in all fictional verses. You would essentially be saying that the concept and structure of dimensionality from My Hero Academia is the same as in DC Comics, as a concept is described as just an abstract idea or general notion. You would essentially be asserting that the notion of space or dimensionality is the same regardless of which verse, which is extremely fallacious, as not all verses have the same dimensional structures or interpretations of said concepts of that fact. Most people will try to claim that because we can conceptualize of what an infinite dimensional space would dictate, thus telling the overarching concept would be equal to that. However, this is a difference from us just trying to conceptualize something and the actual properties and makeup of said thing, as it's all just interpretation of us. As we can imagine what the fourth dimension would dictate, but as third dimensional beings we can't even come close to comprehend and would actually know what the makeup of it, as it's just our interpretation. While yes, this definition does require a larger burden of proof, that's not necessarily a bad thing. With this we now avoid more incoherency and outliers, and it's thus more logical. So using the definition for Outerversal, we see that Shinra has no conceivable way to be outer, as the cosmological structure of his verse scales nowhere near high hyper, let alone even low outer. But for the sake of argument, let's assume the lesser definition as established as for a being beyond or transcendent of the concepts of space or dimensionality as a whole. Even with this definition in mind, he still doesn't meet the criteria to be outer. The whole point of the argument is the fact that Adola is the collective unconsciousness of humanity, with their thoughts and concepts being included as this, and due to the fact that it's stated to include such as higher dimensions, mathematics, and etc., it would include said concepts and be beyond it, thus outer. However, people fail to realize that it's specifically noted that it's the humanity's collective unconscious and the human interpretations of those concepts, not the concept independently as a whole. This is highlighted when reality starts to change due to Adola and the cataclysm affecting reality. Reality was only affected on the concepts of humans' perspectives such as the moon, ocean, stars, etc. They only changed to match humanity's perspective and conceptualization of them, not the concept as a whole independently of humanity. And it's implied to be the majority of it, as shown with the aforementioned establishments, and as well as that the only solution to stop the cataclysm is to make the majority have hope rather than despair. So not only is this just the human interpretation of these concepts, not them independently as a whole, but potentially it's just the majority view of said concepts. This would in no way, shape, or form scale to Outerversal even by this quota. But what about where Shinra Man actually scales? For Shinra Man scaling, he legit becomes the god of his verse both metaphorically and literally. He is able to no-sell the despair Saintess attacks like it's nothing, which is just how Maya fusing with the Evangelists, who is also able to one-shot the Evangelists. The Evangelists just being the collective unconsciousness incarnate, which is also Adola, meaning Shinra Man scales above the Evangelists, which is also Adola by proxy. With Adola being stated to be a higher plane a multitude of times, now higher plane by definition is usually in reference to a higher mental or spiritual realm. However, this is just a mistranslation on Viz's part, as in the actual kanji of the scans, the kanji Kojigen is used, which translates to higher dimensions, specifically in reference to mathematical spatial dimensions. This is consistent as it's referred to as a dimension and a physical one at that. It's not some type of mental space or something. It's even referred to blatantly as a higher dimension by someone who actually studies it, as well as consistently portrayed and or stated to be a dimension that transcends or is incomprehensible to normal people without a grace by the Evangelists, as well as the Evangelists just blatantly being stated to be a higher dimensional being, which again is using the same kanji Kojigen, which is in reference to mathematical higher spatial dimensionality. And with the fact that Fire Force having no previously established higher cosmological structure to it, the Evangelists and Shinra Bonsherman by proxy would be 4th dimensional or universal plus in attack potency and maybe even destructive capability depending on what you think the Cataclysm is. With his speed being easier to go over, as with his Adola burst he's able to go at the speed of light, but due to how Fire Force operates under general relativity, when they reach this set of speed of light, time as a constant just stops. He's essentially moving so fast that time just stops. This is consistent as shows Adola burst severed universe allows him to stop time by controlling and taking on the expanding heat of the universe, thus stopping time. And when Shinra reaches his speed, he's actually able to move in this stop time, which is confirmed to be his raw speed combating Sho's ability. This level of speed would be what most would call inaccessible. However, this can be taken to an even higher extent, as he's stated to be able to go faster than light. Which in this verse, going faster than light allows you to go so fast you're actually able to time travel. Which is confirmed that the manner of doing this is he's actually transcending time itself to actually do this with his raw speed. And then he later gets so much faster and stronger without the Adola burst, he's able to go these speeds within base. And with Shinra Bonsherman just being beyond everyone, including his previous base self, he would be easily reaching those immeasurable speeds. This is consistent as he has his own similar immeasurable speed feats which he can do casually on a whim, giving Shinra Bonsherman immeasurable speed. Okay guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. By the way, this video wasn't meant to be an attack on Shinra, as I generally like his character. He's ironically my top 5 to 3 favorite characters in anime, if not higher. I just wanted to make it clear on where he doesn't scale, as I do think he's a very strong character in his own right, as I explained. In fact, if I get 5k subs in a manually time and this video specifically gets 200 likes, I will be making a Shinra versus the big 3 relatively soon. Anyway, that's all y'all. See ya on the next one.